All right, everybody. So the SnyderCon is officially over. And let's talk about what happened on this last and final day with Zack Snyder's Justice League and the question and answer session. All right, now I went into this with no expectations. If they announced something big, I was like, great, that's awesome, but I wasn't expecting anything. And I'll talk about if anything was announced at the end of the video. But first, I want to talk about the opening of the question and answer session. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. So here's who we did not get. We did not get Henry Cavill, and we did not get Gal Gadot. Okay, neither one of those showed up. The person moderating was actually Ray Porter, who did the voice of Darkseid, which was pretty cool. You had Zack Snyder. Chris Terrio was there, the writer, so that was fun too. And you also had Ray Fisher, and you had Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck came in as a surprise after they had announced everybody, and they said, oh, there's one more, and it ended up being Ben Affleck. And, you know, the one thing that really got me through this that I thought was strange is, first of all, Ben Affleck talks the way I do with my hands all the time. I thought that was kind of funny. He was the only one up there waving his hands and doing all kinds of stuff. I do that all the time in the booth, which is kind of funny. But he seemed very nervous up there, and I don't know if that's just how he is, but he seemed very nervous. And he was asked, first of all, he was asked some very direct questions about where they were going to go with Batman, Deathstroke, possibly other villains. Also, the dynamic with possibly having Batgirl in the movie, and he never gave a straight answer to anything. He went off onto these weird tangents of what was going on in his mind, but didn't really answer people's questions, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So the one thing that was overarching in all of this was the fact that both Ray Fisher and Ben Affleck really had a lot of praise for Zack Snyder and how comfortable he made them during these films and what they were filming. You know, just on the set, meeting him, meeting everybody, that he goes the extra mile to just make it seem like he's your buddy, and he'll get the performance out of you that you need. All right, so let's talk about some of this other stuff. I do have to put some reading glasses on. I have contacts in, and I cannot see up close, so... All right, so let's talk about some stuff here. First of all, they asked about the different scenes that the Flash saw during Zack Snyder's Justice League, and someone wanted to know if that was the actual timeline of what was going to happen. And Zack Snyder basically said no, that those were not any fixed timelines. They were just a bunch of, it was a menagerie of timelines, basically. And that the one at the end with all of them was, with the Joker and everything, was the real timeline, pretty much. Someone asked, are we ever going to get to see the Green Lantern scene? Zack said he does not have that scene in his possession and that he does not own it. And he made a joke to turn off the camera, which was pretty funny. And he said he doesn't know if it will ever happen, if we'll ever be able to see it. But he said never say never, and that's who he is. Zack made it very clear during this that he said he loves this universe. Now, here, okay, before I get into this conversation, here was the bad thing about this stream. You couldn't hear what the people were asking. I mean, I would have flat out asked, are we going to get a continuation of the Snyderverse? And you really couldn't hear what the people were asking. And so I don't know what I'm about to talk about, what the actual question was. But Zack made it very clear that he loves this universe. He loves these characters. He spent a lot of time and energy in this universe and on these characters that, given the chance, he would finish the story. He has made it very clear he has not moved on. The one thing a lot of people said was going to happen during this was that he was going to finally say, guys, it's time to move on. The Snyderverse is dead. Let Warner Brothers Discovery and DC make their stuff. And he did not say that. In fact, it's just the exact opposite. Many times over the last 3 days, I've been there to watch all of the Q&A sessions. I missed the Robin thing yesterday, but he has made it very clear he has not moved on and has no intentions of doing that. He wants to finish this story, And the actors would come back, too. I can tell you that based on everything that was talked about. I mean, to get Ben Affleck there tonight was pretty big. So let's see here. He made it clear, Zack Snyder made it very clear that the scene with the Flash at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, with the Flash reversing time, the studio did not like that at all, which is ridiculous because I think that's my favorite scene in the whole movie. He also talked about how important the Joker scene was at the end of the film with him and Batman. He said that the reason he filmed that, obviously it was going to fit into the overall arcing story, but he didn't want, in case nobody ever saw anything again, he said he didn't want this particular universe that was created and not to be able to see this version of Batman and this version of the Joker be at odds with each other in such a visceral way. And he said it was really important to capture that on film. And he did. I thought he did an amazing job with that. The more I've seen that scene now many times, and the more I see it, the more I love it. I just love the interactions. And what's crazy is they weren't there doing their scenes together, but it was extremely well done. And so those are kind of the highlights. There were some other things that were asked during this event that were interesting things. There was one particular girl every 3 days, all 3 days, she was like raising her hand saying, I need to be, and she would ask these political questions about real life and how it was intertwined with the story, which, that's not why people are watching these movies. Some of these people are grabbing things out of it. Now, Chris Terrio did mention that, there were some overlying arcs. He wants to make a more layered story, but it's never going to be in your face, like political commentary, which was good. I'm glad they finally kind of shut her down from doing that because she did it on all 3 occasions. I don't know who that girl was, but she was very excited and very forceful with her questions and like, oh, I totally know it's this. And she basically wanted confirmation and they didn't really give it to her. So I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, so let's talk about how I viewed this event going in and how it ended up. I went into this with no expectations. I was hoping something was going to happen, but I was expecting nothing. And in fact, there were no announcements made at the end of this event. They had to end it because Super Mario was starting and they needed to exit out of the IMAX theater to get the next group of people in there. But many times throughout this event, Zack Snyder was talking about hope. Ray Fisher talked about hope. There was a very touching moment tonight where somebody had talked about their own experience with what had happened with Zack's daughter and his own life. And they each got to talk about how they felt and what they thought. And, everything is about hope. And Zack Snyder has made it very clear that he hopes to one day to finish his story. He used the word yesterday, soon. He would hope. But and tonight he solidified it. He's not moving on. And the fans can't move on. We still have to push this. I think it's ridiculous that Warner Brothers is not finishing the story. And I'm going to give you my overall feeling on what's going on and how I view Zack Snyder's, finishing of his story. I made it very well known on my channel that I'm not just a Snyder fan. Yes, I think his 3 films are amazing and my favorite superhero films. But I like other movies by other directors. I like what Patty Jenkins did with the first Wonder Woman movie. I like what was done with Aquaman. But my issue with this is finish the freaking story. Don't just get the Flash and because you don't like how things are going, erase everything and move on, and that's exactly where they're headed with this. There was also information, out today that some of the other characters from what James Gunn has created are going to start popping up again from Peacemaker and from Suicide Squad. It's like you're getting rid of all of the big-name characters, but you're keeping your second-rate characters. I don't know how that's going to work. It's not a good look. No matter how you look at it, I don't care if you're a gun fan or not. It's not a good look. It's just not. People have asked me, you're just anti-gun. And yeah, I'm anti-gun. I don't want him in charge. I do not want him in charge, and I have very specific reasons. First of all, I didn't like Suicide Squad. I thought it was mildly entertaining the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I didn't like it at all. And then you had Peacemaker, which was entertaining, but it's juvenile, toilet humor. It is adolescent, juvenile humor. It's for, again, the lowest common denominator. I've seen what he's done with Guardians of the Galaxy. He's been able to do some cool stuff with that, but that's more of a jokey type, goofy type situation. I've seen Slither. I really like Slither. But everything I've seen from him, I don't see him being able to deliver a visceral experience the way that these characters deserve to be portrayed. I don't see it happening. He's more concerned about the stuff he's created, the things he's doing, than I think he is about giving these characters what they deserve. And until I see something from the Superman Legacy or something that's going to prove otherwise, I've seen enough. I don't want him in charge. I absolutely do not, and I will never stop talking about that. So if you think you're going to come to my channel and find out all of a sudden I'm on the gun wagon, that isn't going to happen, guys. It's not who I am. The one thing I am is 100% honest. I'm never going to come in and just say what I think somebody wants me to say just to get viewers. That's not what I'm going to do. It's not how I run my channel. Yeah, every once in a while you're going to see thumbnails that are going to get you guys to click, but I don't like where this is headed. I think we deserve to see the end of Zack Snyder's story, and I think Warner Brothers Discovery is going to have a huge problem until they do that, and I don't think that problem is going to go away. And I'm happy to be a part of it. There's no reason why we should give up hope or give up seeing the rest of this story. I mean, it's no different than starting, a book and then never finishing it and wanting to know how it's going to end, or getting into, anything like that. I mean, starting a game and then finding out it's broken and never getting to finish the game, and there's this amazing story behind it. It's not how people should function. It's not how the studio should function. They should follow through. And a lot of people have said, well, the Batman made a lot more money than Zack Snyder's Justice League, or, Batman versus Superman, or Man of Steel. Yeah, you're right. Here's the problem. It made more profit, okay, but you had fewer people in the seats. And fewer people in the seats means that's going to affect merchandising and everything else. You want the largest amount of people into these seats that you can get. And we're not going to be getting that. We're going to be getting mediocre films with mediocre expectations where the budgets will be low, so they're going to make a profit and claim, oh, look at this, it's an amazing profit. The movie did extremely well, and I can tell you that's exactly where Warner Brothers Discovery is going to head with this. I'm not looking forward to it. There's going to be a lot of politics going on with all of this stuff over the next couple of years, but I will be covering everything here in the future. And I've already got some things that I will be coming back, tomorrow with a video, some things I've grabbed over the weekend that I'm going to talk about. But this weekend, it was about the Snyderverse, the SnyderCon, and I wanted to get this information and these updates out to you guys. I do greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go out. We'll see you guys tomorrow.